Welcome everyone. My name is Jay Morrison, or Jay Mr. Real Estate Morrison, and I want to welcome you to my How to Build Black Wealth free webinar. So I'm going to post this everywhere. I want to be clear up front. This is not a pitch, a infomercial, or a sell for anything. You don't need to follow me, buy anything, subscribe to anything. I just want to give our people, black people, some game and some education on many under the radar things that we could utilize to build wealth. And the reason why I say building black wealth, or how to build black wealth, is because I realize that we all know, and if you just look up the statistics, that the creation of wealth in America especially is stabilized, and the most frequent vehicle is via real estate, right? By investing in real estate and having a real estate portfolio. The reason why people invest in real estate and why it starts to build wealth is because real estate appreciates in value, meaning you gain equity and appreciation and value in the properties. It also is a great vehicle for tax breaks and tax advantages. You also can gain rental income, which we call residual income from the real estate, that helps you build monthly cash flow, yearly cash flow, and adds on to your revenue. It's a morale booster also for your families. And then it's something called principal pay down, whereby paying down your mortgage, you also create equity and value in real estate as well. So the reason why we're talking about how this works for black people is because black people are the least homeowners and the least property owners in America. And subsequently, we're the poorest nationality of people in America as well. And I think that those two have a direct correlation to each other. And there's a lot of things that are accessible to us as black people that we just don't utilize because, one, we don't know, or we're fearful, or no one has laid out a clear-cut strategy for us how we take advantage and use these programs, incentives, etc., right? So it's my job as being Mr. Real Estate. I want to give us a clear-cut strategy on how we can build black wealth using what's already out there for us, but just using it the right way and having a strategy behind it. So I'm gonna dive right in. So as you see, I have a 4-part kind of strategy on the board, all right? One of the main things we have to understand what our ammunition is. Like, where's our ammunition lie? Like, how can we do this? It sounds cool, build black wealth. All right, I'm in, I'm listening. So one of the first things we have to realize is that there's loan programs out there, especially FHA, which are government-backed programs, and conventional loans, in which you can utilize low down payments on real estate of anywhere between 3.5% to 5% down, meaning that for every $100,000 home, you only got to put down $3,500. So for a $300,000 home, you only got to put down $10,500, right? So that's for a $300,000 home, right? You see the $10,000 down payment, $10,500, right? So there's low payments we can utilize, and the importance of the low down payments is that once you've realized what your down payment is, you might have saw a house with, your husband or wife or your family for $200,000 in your area, $70,000 in your area, depending where you're living in the country, or $300,000, whatever it is. Once you know what your down payment is and what reserves you need, you now have a goal to reach for. So now when it comes down to spending money on Black Friday, or buying the kids $1,000, $2,000 in gifts, or going on an extra vacation, maybe you'll scale back some of those expenses to put towards a larger goal of building wealth for your family, starting with getting a property, or I'm going to show you how to get a portfolio of properties, right? So the other kind of secret that's out there that we don't utilize is government vouchers are okay when applying for a mortgage. Your government vouchers, whether it be Section 8, whether it be VA, whether it be mental disability, seniors disability or seniors vouchers, any kind of government vouchers, even child support at times, can be credited towards your income for your mortgage. And yes, I said Section 8. Your Section 8 can be credited not just for rent. You don't got to use your Section 8 to go get somebody else rich. Your Section 8 can actually go towards your mortgage to help get your family rich and build wealth, right? So you can start owning a property starting with your Section 8 voucher and build from there, or other government vouchers and guaranteed money that you have in combined with your other income. So this is a big underutilized tool in the black community, in the black and brown community. Also, multiple co-borrowers are okay when purchasing your first property. and we're going to get into what kind of property, 1 to 4 units. And I'm going to be talking about 4 units to start. So you can have your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, even a friend. You guys can go on a mortgage together, and if you're working at Walmart making 15 grand a year, you're working at Burger King, and maybe she has a little better paying job working at wherever, right, in an office or as an administrator or as a CEO, whatever it is, but you guys can combine your incomes together, including your government voucher money, combine all that income together to be able to purchase a property together and build wealth. But what that's going to take is a certain kind of mentality and sacrifice. A lot of times, we just want the house with a picket fence, or we'd rather live in a dope condo or apartment that we're paying rent for with a big flat screen on TV on the wall and a Benz outside, but we don't even own the property. We're paying to get somebody else rich because we don't want to make the sacrifices of using that extra income to go into building our wealth and building a real estate portfolio. Or we don't want to sacrifice some comfortability sometimes. We'll laugh, and I know this, I can say it blatantly. I know in the African American community, in the black community, we'll laugh at Koreans or at Mexicans or Hispanic people or other nationalities for piling into houses and living with 6 or 7 people in one house. But we don't even realize the strategy behind what they're doing, which is building wealth by owning properties, going in on a mortgage together. So that's something that we could utilize in the black community to our advantage if we're willing to sacrifice and actually work together and live together to take steps towards building wealth. It does not happen overnight. This is not a cheat sheet. This is just real strategy. So also, future rental income credit is another component, another bonus in which we can start to build wealth. So if you look here, and I'll explain off our number 2, if you were to purchase a 4 unit or a 3 unit or a 2 unit home, right? 1 to 4 families you can all do with 3.5% down payment, right? So if you were to live in this 4 unit, you would live in 1 unit, and it could be you and your family as multiple co-borrowers could live in 1 unit and then rent these other units out. But the great part about it is on top of, however, you got co-borrowers or government vouchers or whatever it is, on top of that income, the bank will give you future rental income credit for these 3 other units. So if these units are all bringing you, and it's hard to write in this direction, but just say this is 1K, right? So if each of these units are bringing you $1,000 a month, that's $3,000 a month you got in future rental income credit. The banks will give you 90% of this number, or up to 90%, sometimes 95%, some banks go low as 85%, but on average, 90% of your future rental and income credit. Meaning, if you get $3,000 a month coming from these units, they'll give you $2,700 credit towards your current income as you wish or look to purchase this property. So if you're only making $35,000 a year, you can add another $2,700 a month, which is about, I think we did our math before, which is almost $29,000 or $30,000 a year. Another $30,000 a year on top of your rental income. Yeah, $32,400, right? Chris behind the camera helped me out there. So you can make add another $32,400 onto your existing income with your co-borrowers using your government vouchers, all to help you qualify for the property. So let's be clear on that. If you buy a multi-unit property, even if you haven't even purchased it yet, they'll give you credit for the future rental income of the other units while you live in 1 unit. And the other great part is that when you're getting these rents for these other units, it can enable you to live for free in the unit you're staying in, or live for very cheap. And so another great component or ammunition for us in acquiring a property is flexible credit requirements. A lot of us are scared to even try to purchase a home because we just think our credit is so screwed up. But you haven't even taken the time to get pre-qualified and find out, will the bank accept me as I am? Or how close am I to being accepted? A lot of times these banks will take you down to a 580, 560, sometimes even lower credit score depending on what other kind of items or trade lines you have on your credit. So you have to get pre-qualified to even see if all this is possible, but these are some core components and ammunition for us to get started in building black wealth. Again, FHA loans as low as 3.5% down payments. Government vouchers are okay. Multiple co-borrowers are okay. Only you stop you from getting together with your family and saying, hey, let's go in on a 4-family together and let's do something substantial. Let's stop playing around, right? You gotta want to get out of poverty, or want to get out of middle class, or want to get out of the rat race. So you gotta make sacrifices and be disciplined in order to do these things. And then also you get the future rental income credit. So now let's get into the second part of the strategy. Why a 4-family, Jay? Why multifamily housing? So the reason in which I recommend multifamily housing, and I used to stress 2-family homes, because in a duplex, like let's hide these two, in a duplex, it's a little easier to get qualified because they don't ask you to have as much reserves, right? So you don't have to have as much in the bank. With a 4-family, the banks may ask you to have 3 to 6 months savings of your mortgage payment, or your mortgage PITI. PITI is, I'll write it here, P-I-T-I. That stands for principal of your loan, the interest on your loan, the taxes on your property, and the insurance for the property. So banks may want to see your PITI in reserve for 3 to 6 months when buying a 4-family home. So it's just a little bit more money you got to save, which is really no big deal, which is why I'm now going to and promoting more of the 4-family model, because if I don't give you that as a goal, you can never walk into it. So I don't want to stifle us by saying, hey, only buy a 2-family, when in reality, we could use the same qualifying requirements to buy a 4-unit, which actually makes it a little better for us, and will have more longer-term appreciation and residual income. So you just got to save a little bit more principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, or show those reserves in the bank. So the other reason for going after a 4-unit is because of this future rental income that you'll get. This income also helps you pay down your mortgage faster, right? So you get to pay down your mortgage faster because of this rental income on these units. And then there's another great component into why the 4-unit. And that's because when you're purchasing a FHA loan or a conventional loan, there's somebody called an underwriter, right? It's just a person who sits behind a desk and they approve your loan or don't approve your loan based on guidelines. So that underwriter, when you go into this home as an owner-occupant, right? This is not as an investor. You get the 3.5% or 5% down as an owner-occupant. We call owner-occ, right? So as an owner-occupant, I'll write it here for us. I'm going to be writing random notes, right? Owner-occ. A period there, right? So as an owner-occupant, you can buy a 4-unit house with 3.5% down. But now you may one day want to not be crammed in with grandma, your auntie, and uncle who all went on this loan into this 4-unit house, where you may hate your neighbors or hate the area. So you may now want to go into a single-family home and be able to purchase and start your family, right? Or be able to rehab that single-family home, and I'll get into that in a second. So the great part about starting with a 4-unit is that it gives an underwriter and it gives you great incentive and great ammunition to go from a 4-unit into a single family, as opposed to if you guys would have bought a single family first, no underwriter would approve you to move from a single family into a 4-unit, because they're not going to believe that you're living there. It has to be owner occupied, meaning you got to owner occupy the property. So let me stop and say this. What I'm teaching is not hustle. I'm not teaching scam. I'm not teaching get over. I'm teaching strategy, right? Legal, legitimate strategy. And all this can be verified and checked by your local mortgage banker, your attorney, and whomever else. If there's anything that I'm wrong in this, please feel free to correct me. But I'm out of 10 years in the business as a licensed loan officer, a mortgage, a mortgage banker, branch manager for 2 branches, a celebrity realtor, licensed real estate agent, an investor, a developer, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I pretty much know my stuff, right? So you can, it's much easier to go from a 4-unit property as an owner-occupant, now kind of upgrading in a sense to a single-family property. You will almost never be able to go from a single family into a multi-unit and convince an underwriter that you're going in owner-occupied, which would eliminate your ability to put 3.5% down. Because if you went from a single to a 4, and they would only look at you as an investor, you're now looking at 20 to 30% down. So if you want to avoid the large down payments on your quest to building back black wealth, starting from where I know many of us start from, because I'm just in tune with the community, right? I get it. So if we want to do that, we got to do it with a strategy. So that strategy is start with the 2, 3, or 4 unit, right? 4 being the max that you can have. You actually can have a 4-unit with a storefront. That's another thing. I don't want to blow your mind away too soon, But you can have a 4-unit, that's an ugly storefront, but you can have a 4-unit with a storefront and it still be an owner-occupied residential purchase. So now you can live in 4 units and have a store. It could be your family store or a store that you rent out. This is real facts of what you can do with 3.5% down using government vouchers and multiple co-borrowers. This is building black wealth. So now you can go from this 4-unit as an owner-occupant, and then you can shoot down here and say, you know what, in a year, 2 years, there's really no stipulation. There's suggested guidelines, but there's no hardcore guidelines of how long you gotta stay in this property. Do not believe the myths of these people who don't know what they're talking about, who deter you from taking advantage of real strategy that other communities use, and who say, oh, you gotta live here for 18 months, you gotta live here for 2 years. That's BS. Tell them to show it to you in writing. Not one can. It's not in writing anywhere, to my knowledge, and if I'm wrong, I'm not perfect, but I'm telling you, I've done hella research. It's not my knowledge anywhere in writing that you have to stay in this property for any amount of time. Reason being, what if you and your family members all got in disputes and just couldn't live together? No one can move out? Or what if this neighbor, God forbid, was a stalker and was stalking your wife? You couldn't move out? Or what if this area was just full of gang activity and you just couldn't stand it no more? Or what if your kid got accepted into a school and you guys want to move to a new community for your child's school or for your child's college? Or what if your job moved? Or what if a whole bunch of reasons, because you are the lord of your land and the homeowner, you have the prerogative to move when you want to move. No one's keeping you in this property, right? So when and if ever you want to move into your next property, the strategic move would be, and the easy move would be, to go from a 4-unit property into a single-unit property. But now to do it with our strategy of building black wealth, you go into a single unit with the FHA 203K loan, which is a rehab loan. FHA will give you the money to renovate the property with 3.5% down with these same guidelines. So now you can go into a single family as an owner-occupant, 203K rehab loan, and this could be a rehab that you live in for 6 months, 8 months, a year, 2 years, whatever. But now the point of doing a rehab is you want to buy it right and buy something that by the time you rehab it, your after repair value, ARV, right? So let's write that down real quick. The point of a rehab is to create value through your renovations. So you want to buy it at a lower price because you're renovating it, and hopefully have an ARV that has appreciation and already has value in it. So when you go into this property, you'll now have value in this property. So maybe you're getting this property. I'm going to erase real quick so I have a little eraser. Do we know where it's at, Chris? My eraser disappeared. All right, we'll find it. Maybe we won't find it. How did the eraser disappear? Oh, got it. Sorry, guys. So just get this down. Rehab, live to flip, use the equity. Because the whole point of this property is for you to gain equity, right? Which is value in the property. So if you purchase this property, say for $60,000, and you put 40,000 renovations into it, right? So you're in it for 100. You're hoping, right? So you're 100. You're hoping that the ARV is gonna at least be, you know, whatever. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but just say 140, right? Should be good ARV on this property. So if your ARV just say is 140, you now have 40,000 equity, right? You now have 40,000 equity in this property. That's 40,000 going towards your family wealth in this property right here, because you bought it right and you use a 203 FHA loan owner-occupant to go buy this home. So now you're living in this property, right? So you're living in this, you got 40,000 equity already, but guess what? Now you're not living here, so you're getting another $1,000 a month from this unit. So now you got $4,000 a month coming in residual cash flow. You got 40,000 in equity in this property. Mind you, this property now and your stores bring you a rental income as well. And now this property is going up in value also. So now this property is paying its mortgage down, going up in value through gradual appreciation, giving you cash flow. Now you're getting tax incentives from each one of these properties, giving you different tax breaks because of the maintenance, repairs, etc. And then you got 40,000 equity in this property. But now maybe 6, 8, 12, or 14 months down the line, you decide, you know what? I'm ready to sell this property and tap into this equity, or you can refinance or get a home equity loan, a home equity line of credit on this property and tap into this 40K without even selling it, right? Through leveraging it, or you could just flat out sell this property, right? So now we're going to sell this, make the 40K. You got this rental income going on. So now when you sell this, you have nowhere to live. You have to move into another property. So now you can sell this and move into another 4-unit or do another rehab project, owner occupied, 3.5% down, using the same ammunition, because now it makes sense that you're going from a single family, which you sold, now into another 4-unit property. And so now the 4-unit, same qualifying, same rental income, it may have a store, it may not have a store, right? Or you do another rehab project or another renovation 203K project. And the purpose of this, remember, you have to live there and it has to be owner occupant. You cannot commit fraud. You cannot fake the system out. Those kind of things will get you in jail and get you locked up. And then don't blame me, because I'm telling you, this is only strategy. It's not to be abused. It's to be used, but not abused and misused, right? So if you go in and you sell this, an underwriter can understand that you have no house, right? You have a mortgage on your credit, but you can show leases for all these units. So they know you're not living there. You sold this, so they know you're not living there. So now it makes sense as to why you would now move into another 4-unit and then repeat. Play the game again. Now you rent out this 4-unit, you live in this unit, you rent out these, right? You collect your rental income. You got rental income coming from here. You got 40K in the bank, right? So or now you can bust this move. You move in here, you live, rent, or you move in here and you rehab and sell at some point. This doesn't exist anymore, but you still got 40K. So now with this 40K, you could put 20% down on a $200,000 property as an investor, right? So now you have this 4-unit in a store. You have this 4-unit in a store which you're living in, and now you put 20% down out of your 40K, and obviously you wouldn't maybe use all your money, but just all hypothetical, right? You could play around with this strategy, but this is just strategy. It's not like, you guys get it. So now you can put this 40K down on a $200,000 property as an investor, and that property might be, just say, a 3-unit, right, as an investor. So now you got a 3-unit as an investor, a 4-unit that you bought on rock but moved out of, a 4-unit in which you live in, and a 1-unit and are renting to others. So you got $4,000 a month cash flow in these properties. You got another $3,000 for each one of these units in cash flow. So that's $7,000 a month in cash flow. Then you got another $1,000 a month from these. So that's $10,000 a month in cash flow. So from all your units, you got $10,000 a month in cash flow. Remember, you put 40 down on this property, so that 40 grand doesn't disappear. It just goes into the equity of this property. So now you put 40 grand down. So for the 200 you paid, right, you now have a mortgage on 160, but the property was worth 220, right? You paid 200, say it was worth 220. You bought it with a little discount, but with my advice, you'd buy it way cheaper. So now if it's worth 220, you got the 40 you put down still in the property, plus the other 20 in equity in which is worth. So you still got 60 grand of family worth. And you got 10,000 a month coming in off of rental incomes, right? So you got 10,000 a month, 120 a year coming in rental incomes. Yes, you got to pay mortgages, right? So I understand that. It all won't be profit. I get that. But the point is you have cash flow, you have tax advantages, you have assets. Your credit is rising like a mother because you have some of the biggest mortgage or the biggest loans you can actually have on your credit, which is a mortgage. So now you got your credit rising, tax breaks happening, cash flow happening. Mind you, this property is going up in value, and you followed my advice, you bought this one right, so it has 30K in value, right? You got 30K in value in this property. This property went up in value 30K. And then you got the 40 that you put down plus the 20K this is worth, so you got 60K in value in this property. So you got 60K in value, 30K in value, that's 90, another 30K in value, that's 120. That's 120,000 in value plus 10,000 a month coming in cash flow, not to mention, let's erase this, your investor unit, it still exists, you didn't sell it, but now you're living in a 4-unit and you want to move into a single unit now. As a rehab or no rehab or whatever the case is, that's an ugly single unit. I gotta do that over, you guys gonna clown me. It's hard to write from this direction. All right, square, square, square. Cool, better single unit. But now you keep this, right? Or you could sell it and cash out, but you could keep this. You still got your 3-unit here, right? So you got your 3-unit. So you got your rental from your 3-unit, your rental from your 4-unit, your rental from this, but now you're gonna move out of this here. So now this is gonna be rent, so that's another $1,000 a month in rent. And you're gonna live in this and buy this with equity, which is gonna have $50,000 in equity because you're gonna buy it right. So now you have this $50,000 in equity, this $30,000 in equity, you're gonna have this $60,000 in equity, this $30,000 in equity, now you're living in a single family house. While your credit is skyrocketing, you got tax write-offs from all this, cash flow from all this, your family's feeling good, you're feeling good, your kids are now homeowners, and you came from being a Section 8 or a middle-class worker or below middle-class worker or whatever your situation was. This is the path to start, the easiest path. There's many paths. There's business ownership, there's franchise ownership, there's stocks, there's day trading, there's tons of paths, right? There's commercial real estate, buying 10 and 20 unit apartments. I'm not gonna talk forever on all the vehicles of building wealth. That's what I do. But the point is, here is the path of least resistance, the low-hanging fruit for how to build black wealth for the average black American, the average black family. Utilize the ammunition of FHA and conventional loans and utilize it within a comprehensive strategy, understanding how to leverage the loans, play the game that other communities are playing. Let's just play it better, and let's do it together. So I hope you guys enjoyed this webinar. There's a lot more details to this. I want to try to keep it short, but you guys get the point. It's starting off with getting qualified. I'm going to cover a lot of this in my book, Lord of My Land, which is already completed. But again, I don't even want to get to any of my stuff, right? I don't want to make this about me. I want to make this about you. So outside of anything else that I do, just take this information and run with it. It's free game for you from myself, Jay Morrison, Jay-Morrison-Real-estate, and the Jay-Morrison-Academy. All right, peace.